Welcome to the Tuesday, April 5th, 2022 Tuesday Night Council meeting. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Siebel.
Here.
Osborne.
Here.
Smock. Here. Nichols.
Here.
Beam.
Here.
I'll take a motion to approve the April 5th, 2022 agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5, approval of March 15th, 2022 regular minutes and January 11th, 2022 special meeting minutes.
So be it. Second.
Roll call, please.
Siebel.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Smock. Yes. Nichols.
Yes.
Beam.
Yes.
I don't see that Mrs. Ayton showed up. She had stopped in the office today and asked for a 2-week continuance on her nuisance abatement so she could hire an attorney. So I guess I'll take a motion to extend her 2 weeks.
I'll make a motion to extend her request for her nuisance abatement till the next council meeting.
Is that the end of it, or is she gonna keep coming up with something else?
I'm not sure about that.
What is our legal obligation to, obviously she's allowed to have a hearing, and we want to
Yes.
make sure we definitely provide that. But with Councilman Nichols as well, there has to be a limit for how many times you're allowed that hearing. Do we know offhand? I mean, 1 continuance, 10 continuances?
That's at the council's discretion at this point. You've allotted her the time under the ordinance, so it's really a matter of discretion, in my opinion, at this point.
Okay.
Whatever you do, I would just make it clear if no further continuances are going to be considered by the council, absent, mitigating or exigent circumstances, I'd make that clear.
There's a few more in town too, what are you gonna do?
One at a time.
Put this group all together and
Better deal.
We can take a motion to extend a one-time 2-week continuance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that all we're gonna allow then? You're saying just a 2-week continuance, and
It
if she
kinda-
comes in next time?
The current motion on the floor is for a single 2-week continuance.
That's correct.
There is no second at this time.
That's correct.
did I make a motion or did I?
Do you-
I'll second
Councilman Siebel has.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll second it.
We do now have a second.
Do you specifically want to add in there what Attorney Moon has said, a one-time 2-week? Right.
Right, yeah. The council has the option to say no further continuances or requests for continuances will be considered, absent, like I said, emergency circumstances.
She had time to appear tonight, and we're giving her another chance, so
Yes.
that's 2 chances, so I think that's fine.
And if I'm understanding right, this is not the first time that she's been, sent a letter, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
What?
This isn't the first time that
This
she's...
is the first time. You say it isn't, or it is?
No, it is not. She's been this issue has been addressed with her previously,
Oh,
but I don't know if she cleaned up or what, but it was in the history before me.
It was years ago, just to give you a little bit of history. It was years ago, and she was grandfathered in because she was running a business that apparently had been started before some of our ordinances were in place. Oh,
See, when HUD come in here and done this, they went from Lafayette to Central and took all the businesses out. There was numerous businesses down Evans, Grand Boulevard, and all up to Central. But when they got on the other side of Central, they didn't have all the funding, so some of these were grandfathered in.
oh,
And it was Aiden's and Frictions,
okay.
and there was a couple other ones that disbanded and went out of business anyway, so.
So the motion and second on the floor is to simply just extend 2 weeks. A recommendation or suggestion from the mayor, pending legal counsel, would come back to you, Councilman Siebelt, if you would like to amend your motion to put a stipulation that it's a one-time only 2-week continuation.
I would change my motion to a one-time continuance till the next council meeting due to past circumstances on the books, on the record.
So, and Councilman Nichols?
Sorry.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7, approval of the consent agenda. This is just a revised. Initially, it was on an earlier date, and he said that was a mistake and came in. This is just for cleaning up the paperwork.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8, approval of the resolution calendar. Resolution 6596, authorizing payment of bills and transfers.
I would make a motion to approve the bills as submitted tonight.
Second.
I just had one question for Chris. Are we, I see we purchased 2 different types of cold packs in the last couple weeks. Are we trying a better one or?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call, Justin.
Siebel.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Smock. Yes. Nichols.
Yes.
Beam.
Yes.
Number 9 is request from mayor to enter into agreement with Bolton and Mink regarding the River Road Water Trail Access Project in the amount of $20,900. I spoke with Adrian today because I was told there was some additional funds for this water trail project, not to go, lengthily into this, but I would ask that you would table it for tonight.
I thought we had an understanding due to costs that we weren't gonna go further with this
Yeah, that's
project.
what I thought. We weren't gonna go any further than what it was now.
Well, I mean, you can go ahead and do that, but there may be some opportunities to modify the project. There may be some opportunities to get additional funding, modify it and get additional funding,
How much,
or extend it.
how much funding are we getting now?
75,000.
And the thing is 200,000.
280,000
Yeah.
was the quote that we got, but
And what's gonna happen when the river comes up and washes it all out?
right. If that's the way you guys all feel,
Another thing we
then
gotta look at is the property downriver. Since they tore the original bridge out of there, it's changed the current and it's washing all that bank and all that on them houses on Oakwood Drive and everything, all their backyards are caving in the river. Now, if you change that current direction again, when the water comes up, what's it gonna do?
do you believe this project would change the current direction?
It could, yes.
Okay.
A boat ramp is the only thing, right? So the boat ramp would.
I don't know what they're gonna put in there. They're gonna put concrete deals in there. I was
They
assuming
are,
when that was water would
yes.
hit that in high water. And either wash the whole thing out or the concrete is gonna change the direction of the river, the same as when they tore the original railroad bridge out. The river was used to go on a certain thing, and they didn't have that current to stop it. It's eroded all in buildings. My brother-in-law's probably, I don't know, probably, well, your folks is on the other side of your grandpa.
Dave Frank. Yep.
But, worse all of that, in fact, their whole back of their yards is.
I'm aware of that,
20 or
yes.
25 feet.
Yeah, I'm
Plus
aware of
the road up
that.
there, I think on First Street has been washed out a little bit. So that's something that I want to address before I put anything in there and change the current again, unless it's gonna better the flow of the river, so it would get it away from the bank instead of eroding it.
It would deflect it toward the Waterloo side.
I guess my question to the council would be then, do we want to table it and see what these additional funds are gonna be? I'm not for supporting a $300,000 project there. We've got a public boat ramp down at Deerwood that we've had some minor discussion on, and I'd like to have us look at that venue instead of getting into more engineering and more cost. We have a lot of things coming up on our plate, and I don't think this is really a value for what we could offer down at Deerwood. I mean, that's it.
Even public funding or grants and stuff like that is coming out of somebody's pocket. You could take that money and use it for something that's more feasible, and more people would get a benefit out of it. There isn't that many people that use a boat ramp.
And again, further for consideration until we get an answer back. Adrian happened to know this particular guy I was supposed to reach out to. I reached out to him, he didn't call me back. But there could be, maybe we can switch the project funds to Deerwood Campground and expand that parking lot in a southerly fashion or what have you. Maybe there's options out there. I just believe if we, this is just an agreement on here. If you just want to say,
I'd like to make a motion. I'd make a motion to table the agreement with Bolton and Mink regarding the River Road Water Trail Access Project.
It won't
Thank
cost
you.
anything for us to do this, right?
No.
No? Okay, I'll second that.
Not at all. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Request from mayor to enter an agreement with Bolton and Mink regarding the Central Avenue Rehabilitation Project, Evans to Dodge, in the amount of $24,000. I know that we had tabled this just because we wanted to have more consideration from the last meeting on the 15th. However, that being said, currently, right now, and this is a complete road use project, road use is not tax dollar funds. Road use comes from road use tax. Currently, as of today, we're at 1.1 million in that fund that has to be it can only be used on roads and anything to do with roads, upkeep of roads. So I think this is a good project. I think this is a start of many projects that we need to put in, a 5 to 10 year plan for our city, because we don't want roads to get as bad as what Lafayette Road is.
So why are we doing Lafayette first then?
The funding is not, we can't start the project until October of 23, and we're not going to start that project just before winter. That's when the funds are available.
The 1.1? Or the funds
No,
for
the
Lafayette?
funds for the Lafayette project. That's 1.8 million for that project we're getting from the DOT.
Okay.
We'd love to start it before that, but then we'd lose out on funds, and we don't want to lose out on 1.8 million in funds. So
What are they
we'll
gonna
keep
do
patching
with-
it.
What are they gonna do? Is that they're gonna peel it or do it all new?
It's actually a new process the DOT has been using for several years. You're grinding down all that
Grind it.
existing, cement. You're putting a layer, probably someone else can explain this better. You're putting a layer of, it's kind of a leveling, expanding layer so it doesn't break down. And then it's going to be 4 inches of asphalt over
You get a
top
bump
that.
there that's soft, it gives,
Yes.
you don't blow your tire out.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. I just think it helps for the asphalt to settle correctly. Yeah. Flexibility.
I guess I'm for the project, but I want to know, we had talked, Mayor, about televising that, to see what the
Yes.
infrastructure is before that goes on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Have we got a total for what the whole road's gonna cost?
Well, right now, and it's going to
Just
be,
doing the engineering?
like we talked, it's going to be around 300,000. But there was portions of that project that our street crew was going to do. So that would be actually pulled out of that rough estimate that he gave us. He gave us so we could get it out for bid. And we're seeing a lot of the projects come back less than, the engineer. I mean, that's always good. You don't want to go less as an engineer. You'd want to just consider all your
My concern is how much
expenses.
difference in cost is of an overlay than the way they're gonna do it. I mean, it's an overlay will last.
This is going to be an overlay.
Yeah, but it's an overlay, but they're gonna grind it down.
No, not this one, not on Central. I thought you were talking about Lafayette. I'm sorry.
No, I was
I
talking about
misunderstood.
Central.
Okay. It's just going to be a regular 4-inch overlay. Yep. And curb and gutter.
New curb and gutter?
It's because it is a curb and gutter street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem with it right now. Besides the street, the curb and gutter is just crumbling away.
Well, that was put in during my administration, so it's lasted pretty good.
I think so. I
Should be
would.
young then.
So did the road.
52 years ago. I'll consider a motion.
I'll make that motion to enter into the agreement with Bolton and Mink for the Central Avenue rehabilitation for the amount of $24,000 in engineering fees.
Second.
All in favor, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 11, request from Chief Dean, who was unable to be here tonight, to approve the Student Resource Officer Agreement with the Waterloo Schools. As long as I can remember, and Chief Dean felt the same way, the Waterloo Schools have never reached out to us and came to our city and discussed, all the different things that the Student Resource Officer does and what they don't do and what they're not responsible for. And this gal was really great. She met with Chief Dean and myself. She is interested in doing a 3% increase. She's interested in doing a 2-year agreement, which we've never done with them. And then the second year would be a 5% increase. And it was just really amazing. I was glad that, they kind of considered us now as, part of their team. And I'm looking forward to working with them going forward.
I'd make a motion to approve Dean's contract with them for 2 years with a 3% and 5% the second year. Good program.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request from Fire Chief to replace damaged clothing from Flying J hazardous spill in the amount of $4496.99 with Sandry equipment. The city was reimbursed 100% for this hazardous spill. We had several vehicles that went out to it. We had Public Works there. We had fire there. It was basically, I'm thinking, over 100 gallons of diesel. Is that about right? So we sent an invoice to them for all the damage that the city endured for that hazardous spill, and they had us reimbursed within 2 weeks.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 13 is request from Fire Chief to hold a breakfast event at the Community Response Center on the 18th of September.
I'll make a motion for the fire chief to hold a breakfast event at the Community Response Center on the 18th of September.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I probably should have had those reversed on the agenda. Because the next thing is we are going to be celebrating our 75th anniversary this year. We've had several people discuss how we needed to have the good old days, cucumber days, community days, whatever, back in our city. I thought this would be a great segue to have a one-day event, to have a parade, to have bouncy houses for the kids, to have caricatures, to have face painting, get vendors in there to sell food, maybe the volunteer fireman department will have a dance for us. We'll see. But I would really want to do this. I think it's great. I think we should be celebrating our 75th anniversary, which is actually on the 9th of September. This just seemed to be a good date to not... there's other things going on in the area that we don't want to be in conflict with.
What day is that, a Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
that after Labor Memorial or?
Yeah, it's right smack in the middle of the month, and there's not a lot of events going around in our community or in the Cedar Valley. So, you know, it would lead probably to get quite a few people.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Have a couple bands. Local bands. Inexpensive bands.
Are you gonna call it like good old days, or you gonna just like
I think you guys can think about it.
jump ahead?
I would like to call it Good Old Days again because it had been good old days for years.
You set up a committee and.
Yeah.
like that.
Well, if you guys approve this, I plan on posting it and asking for volunteers tomorrow.
What kind of dollar amount?
No dollar amount right now.
Are you thinking fireworks?
I'm not real sure. We'll see what the budget is. I think we budgeted $2,500 for an event
Yeah,
this year. So,
that won't buy many fireworks right now.
no.
Just one really, really big
Big
one.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
You can give Damien a call, the tire guy. He makes fireworks, and he's part of the firework, so he can set you up with probably a pretty decent show for what they can throw together. Compared to if you're actually buying your own fireworks.
It's illegal to shoot fireworks that are homemade
No, they're licensed with the
IPA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm part of that. It's illegal.
Oh.
It's illegal to shoot homemade fireworks
Oh,
at a public event.
oh, they do. Okay.
Well, you
Maybe
can
some of our local businesses.
Yeah,
could
that's why I'm
sponsor.
asking. Like,
Yes.
I'll be the one.
Yeah.
Offer to shoot.
We intend to do that.
But
This
you
was
were
just
at-
saying, you know, is it all right with the council that we move forward to do this for our community? I know there's a lot of people out there that are wanting this, and I myself think that we should celebrate our 75th anniversary.
So this is in lieu of good old days.
This would be like the
new-
segue back into the good old days. We're just would be
We're
having
just
it.
not going to do 3 days and mud volleyball
This
and
is
all
just
of that with
no.
it.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
This is just going to be a one-day event, and then the next day, the fire department is going to do a breakfast. So
Oh, I like that.
So Saturday's the 17th and the 18th Sunday,
that is correct.
so that you could have a car show too.
We're not doing a car show this year.
Why are we not gonna do that? What was the reason? They don't want it? Black
No,
Rock
no, no, no.
thing? No, okay.
We're segueing. We're segueing back into the good old days.
Oh, well, they bring a lot of good old day cars.
Did you want a carnival?
No.
No.
It isn't gonna be good old days.
It's one step towards the good old days.
That's correct.
You could have a dunk your mayor booth.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I'm volunteering.
I'm with it.
Don't
I'm
you
here
what?
for that.
Dunk your mayor booth, you know?
Okay, yeah, as long as you're not.
Can we get
putting
Justin
city
up there
council
too?
in there. Go ahead.
Justin too.
I would
How
happily.
about Mike?
Even in September, I would happily volunteer for that.
I will support this if Mike gets up there.
We'll work on mine.
Yeah, we can.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request from Animal Control Officer Adams to be reimbursed for NACA training in the amount of $644.
I would approve this, but the only question I'd like to say is to Wanda is, I would appreciate if this come to the council first, that you were gonna do it before the expenditure's out there. Because in the budget of animal control, the money's not there. So does that come out of general fund?
That would be out of other professional services,
I
yeah.
will make a motion. It was a good, I read through the stuff. I think it was a good thing for her ongoing training, but that's all I'm asking in the future.
I would, and I did get a chance to talk to Wanda just before the meeting, so I didn't ambush her beforehand, but I'm familiar with a lot of the training and reimbursement pieces. While I absolutely love that she took the initiative to go out to get it done, I definitely understand your comment too, Councilman Siebel. I would like to see a 1 year or 2 year type of city contract that states you will work for the city to kind of work off that reimbursement each month, then takes a little bit out. We've done it for our EMTs that have some cost in, but I know there's always been concern, and I think it's been valid that we train people and then they just leave after we've dumped money into them, for lack of language.
Right.
I would love to see, again, now I don't think she has any intent to leave. She obviously, owns a house here, but that way it's just fair across the board that if the city's training our personnel, that they have years of service and some level of commitment back to the city. So, and for this one, for dollar amount, normally is either a one, we're right between a 1 and 2 year of what like the EMTs have had. So I would
Sure.
be fine with either a 1 or a 2 year commitment of,
Okay.
of service payback.
And that would be something we put on the next agenda.
Okay.
Yep. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request for mayor to sign agreement with People Service in the amount of $13,814. This is the second year of agreement of 5 years with them. They did have in their contract that and what is it called? The CIP. Is it CIP?
Mhm.
Okay. The CIP, whatever the CIP index is, plus 1%. So the contract is going up roughly $1,100 a month of a 5-year agreement.
But we're still under what we had in employee
Yes.
benefits and the sewer plant budget, so
Yep.
I don't have a problem with that moving forward.
Like any of us, I don't like 8% increases, but
I
we're
didn't like
kind of
it.
there.
I had talked to the mayor and
It's the world today.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion on that.
No complaints, no issues. Again, I'm very new coming in January, but for my limited exposure, it's been very positive. For those that have been here, it sounds like it's been pretty positive.
And just, yeah, and as a staff, city staff and people service staff, we've been working really well together. They have given us, it's nice to have Heath who has, can reach out to, 170 other techs, within, it's not just one person stating this. We have a group of people that are supporting us and, the things moving forward, which is our wastewater plant. And, they're very knowledgeable. They're great at answering questions. I can pick up the phone and just say, hey, what's going on with this? And, I'll get I'll get an
Just so
answer.
everybody knows that Heath has continued to reach out on the wastewater plant. We have discussed some things that might save us money in the future. He's doing those meetings with us and for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it's nice to have somebody that has that background that can actually weave their way through this. And I do feel that he's got our best interest in mind. So that's a pretty good deal. So.
Yep.
I'd make a motion to sign, for the mayor to sign the agreement with People Service in the amount of $13,814 for the second year of contract.
I will second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 17, request to approve low bid in the amount of $108,485.75 for the sewer lining on Minor and Saunders, both streets, with Municipal Pipe Tool Incorporated.
Mayor, I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Yes, I understand. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council to consider purchasing policy. Christy and I have been talking about this for quite some time. The city does have purchasing policies for FEMA type operations. If we're going to get reimbursement from FEMA, if we're going to get reimbursement from the DOT, we do have those policies in place. I believe that she was more looking at something that could go as kind of encompassing all departments. And I think that's a great idea. I did have the opportunity to read through those agreements, and I think if council wishes that we would move forward to create a purchasing policy?
That was my intention, was just to get this out in front of you to see if you guys had any good input, because there's 2 policies that I provided just examples of. We can do whatever, like inside that, like we can figure out the amounts or what best fits the city of departments of Evansdale and create a policy, whether it be 1 page or 8, hopefully not, but so, I just wanted us to get familiar with them and see what best fits us all, so that I just feel like this would make it more defining on purchases for small, big, and little. The state code does anything over 36,000, but we need, and that is dependent on, that dollar amount's dependent on inflation as well.
Yeah.
But, so I just think that if we try to look at these and implement what best fits us, I think it just makes it, it will kind of make it harder for, the city heads, because, it will require 2 bids if possible. So I know that makes it hard in this environment today, but hopefully we can try to make that work as well. But then I think that when somebody comes in and looks at it and says, okay, what can we do? Then we can pull this policy out and say, okay, we need this, this, and this. And then we can go from there, and I just think it will help. But
And actually, we do follow Chapter 26, and it is actually updated every single year. And I have the thing right on my billboard in my office, because it's based on horizontal and vertical infrastructure is what it's based on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got examples of those because I kind of read up on them. But if you guys want to look at them over, and then, we can try to put one together. I can try to put one together or whatever, and we can go from there too, whatever you guys want.
And I see Josh putting some notes, so we'll probably have his input as well on this, because a lot of it is just state code, so we don't have a lot of wiggle room there. So I'll take a motion to continue designing, I guess, a purchasing policy.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 19, council to consider amending code of ordinance regarding manufactured homes. I guess what kind of spurred this on is, we do have some manufactured homes, and this is not like a design home, or I guess Ron used to build some in the past. This is more like a double wide trailer coming into our city, and they want to put it on a lot. And the question came up this week that was asked to me if we allow that, and we have set perimeters. I think we could probably tighten them up a little bit. I reached out to Josh, and he was giving me some ideas or something and has plenty of examples. Do you want to speak on this?
Sure. There are some.
Let's see if I can get that turned on for you. Okay.
There are some limitations from the Iowa code that this city has to follow, and that's 335.30 manufactured and modular homes. But I did notice in our ordinances, we do address mobile homes, but we don't address the conversion of those homes into to real estate, essentially,
Right.
which a lot of other cities do. But I think there's room for, like you said, Mayor, tightening that up, and
Yes.
there's examples we can look at from other cities that have done this that I think is in compliance with that code section.
Okay. So I would like a motion for us to consider this going forward, maybe to tighten up a little bit. If we were going to have this type of activity, there would be, we'd have certain requirements as city, as long as we stayed within that code, 335.0. But I would, really like.
A lot of the difference is like a trailer home or something like that.
Exactly.
Is not to the same code as a modular home is.
Yes.
Modular home has to meet the code of the city.
Yes.
All the way through.
Yes.
The other just meets minimum standards, FHA standards, or whatever
Right.
the state is. And they don't really have floor joists underneath. They got a steel beam so you can set it on something.
Right.
And the problem is, a lot of them, they'll set it on some cement blocks and put skirting around it, and then that's it. That's the type that you want to
Keep away from. Yeah.
But if they put it on a foundation, and I don't know how they do the floor
That's what I'm
system.
saying. There's actually strict language that states that it was a permanent foundation, and I didn't think ours said this right. The permanent foundation system, the standards of our own code already for a stick-built house. So those are just some language that is some language we
Yeah,
can
'cause
add
most-
into it.
Most modular homes are already, you gotta meet the code and the manufacturing.
Exactly.
You gotta meet it here when it gets
Yeah.
there, but isn't that bring it up to?
And I'm really only speaking to double wide trailers.
No, yeah, I understand.
Not even the ones that are brought in with a beam. These are just, we have some of these in our town. They are literally just double wide trailers.
No.
Not the trailer court, because that's allowed.
Apparently
in there,
them
but-
don't have a joist system underneath to sit it on a foundation. It's just built like a steel bottom, and
Right.
it's to sit on blocks that are for temporary footings and then skirting around it, and then your sewer and water comes out underneath and
Yeah.
freezes everywhere.
We just want to just tighten up our code that, it specifically says it's going to be a permanent foundation system, and it's going to be to the standards of the site-built single-family dwellings
What do
in
you mean
our
by a
home.
permanent foundation system? I mean, if I put a cement block with a frost footing in, that would be a permanent foundation. But I could put one here, and one here.
And he actually had some language that he found that makes that quite clear, that it's going to be either
Continuous.
continuous, yes, that's the word, continuous foundation with 40-inch,
With floor joists.
yes, yep,
Frost step.
The
Frost step.
footings. Yep.
40-inch frost step. We don't currently have that in our code, and I think that we do need to.
No, I agree. There's some of them that look like
Okay.
they're not straight and they're sagging. And
Yeah,
And I've seen other cities have also said the system must be visually compatible with permanent foundation systems of surrounding residential structures as well. So it's not an eyesore, it's
of course,
compatible.
on a regular trailer house, what you call a trailer house, there's no floor system under it, so I don't know how you would really adapt that without putting floor joists or something sitting on top of that. But it's that would look like hell.
okay. So I'll take a motion just to pursue this and tighten up our code and,
Did we already do that? No.
did we? No.
No motion on the floor.
I'll motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public discussion, non-agenda items.
Kelly Parker, Marion Avenue. Just wanted to check, is the camera still rolling?
Camera's still rolling.
Great, thank you. Last time I stood here and I voiced my opposition to raising property taxes in Evansdale. And the council said it really wasn't that big of an increase. And so I went on the Iowa Department of Management's website and found out that for fiscal year 2022, Evansdale had a tax rate of 6.37175.
That's
And-
FY21. Sorry to interrupt. That's FY21. We haven't had our FY22. I don't believe so.
I
That's
looked
not
at
what
the
our
Excel
FY22
sheets,
is.
And okay, so last year's tax rate was 6.37175, according to that website. And our council voted to approve it, to increase it to 7.94. That is a 24% increase in our property taxes. I think that's significant.
It's not.
And I also would like to read part of Iowa Code from 384.16, subsection 5. After the hearing, the council shall adopt by resolution a budget for at least the next fiscal year, and the clerk shall certify the necessary tax levy for the next financial year to the county auditor and the county board of supervisors. And then subsection 6 says, taxes levied by a city whose budget is certified after March 31st shall be limited to the prior year's budget amount. The tax levy certified may be less than but not more than the amount estimated in the proposed budget submitted at the final hearing. Our mayor and our mayor pro tem submitted our city's budget to the county auditor, but they didn't follow Iowa code. We do not have a clerk who certified this budget. According to Iowa code, it says in subsection 6, it shall be limited to the prior year's budget amount. So the law is saying that we should use last year's budget and last year's tax levy.
Would you like me to go get the budget for this year, FY22, and for FY21, which you're quoting right now? And it doesn't state on our budget paper, it does not say city clerk only. It says city clerk or finance officer, and I'm considered the CEO of the city of Evansdale. And they received my budget with no problem. Or our budget, it's not my budget.
The clerk shall certify. That's our law. I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room there.
Okay. I haven't had any feedback from the state,
Sure.
so we'll definitely check with them.
I think 24% is a big increase. Thank you.
Hi. A couple of months ago, I was having a conversation with a couple of people that live in the apartment buildings here in town. And one of their biggest complaints was that their dumpster is always overfilling and that they don't have an opportunity to have curbside recycling, which is a challenge for these people in particular because some of them are in mobile scooters and can't drive themselves around town. So they don't have the opportunity to do any recycling. And I was wondering if we could put it on the agenda for next month, whenever possible, reevaluating the recycling policies, because the landlords that are paying the water bill are not providing an opportunity for the residents to recycle. And being able to recycle is available for everybody else, so it kind of excludes them, and they're feeling like they may have been missed. So if we could reevaluate that, that would be great.
Do you know why they're being excluded? Because I mean, everybody gets a recycling bin, so the landlords should.
The landlords don't.
They're commercial, Christy, they're commercial property. We don't handle their garbage or their recycle.
Right, so that's why they get missed.
I did not know that.
And there's other landlords that will pay for the water bill for whatever reason. Maybe they use another part of the property and they just rent out the house or whatever. So I just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to use curbside recycling, and specifically people that are low income and don't have the ability to pay the $50 to get the cart delivered, or maybe their landlord's policies on their lease don't allow them to have a cart outside. Maybe just adding a second dumpster for recycling and another fence around it would be a solution. I don't know the answers, but I'd like us to reevaluate it.
Would that not be the owner's responsibility?
It's
That
not
is
Wouldn't they
technically.
be contacting the owner?
Yes.
It's not technically anybody's responsibility to make sure that they get to recycle. If
It's not the city's.
No, it's not the city's, but there's been some confusion because when I first moved to town, curbside recycling was free, but you had to provide your own bin. And then if you were participating in that, then they gave you a free recycle bin. And that was great, but then people move or whatever, and then I went down and paid $50 for my bin because I got missed in that. So some people had to pay and some people didn't. And the people that are renting or not responsible for their own water bill don't have any way to get one.
Have any of these people contacted the owner of the
Yeah, they actually have, and they say, well, there's no room, or it's just going to cause problems, it's just going to make a mess or whatever, and they're not trying to find solutions. But this would definitely help with the amount of overflow in the dumpsters as well, which is another thing that they're complaining about.
Sounds like they should move.
Where's this problem at?
I didn't go to the buildings myself. Actually, the one I did go to across the street from Amvets, And I can kind of see why they might have a conflict there because their parking lot is very limited. They don't have a lot of space, and their hallways are somewhat narrow, so there's not a way they can just put one in the hallway to use. The other ones are over on River Forest Road. And then some of the newer buildings, newer apartment buildings, multi-unit buildings, have the water bill go directly to the tenant, but those would be questions for the waterworks, and I guess I don't have the privilege of asking those questions unless council directs the waterworks to give me that information.
Thank you, Laura.
Yep.
I'll be reaching out to counselors individually regarding if you want to change our code to include recycling to rental property. Currently, our code does not offer recycling or garbage for rental property. It's paid for separately by either the tenant or by the landlord.
Yeah, and this is kind of a subject situation because it's actually a project their management situation. I mean, they might not want any more totes on their property as well. So I think that's between the tenant and the owner type scenario.
For the commercial?
Well, and I don't think we want to get into the payment of excessive recycling for renters that are transient. Not all of them.
Yeah, no, I
So,
understand.
I mean, there's some renters in our city have been in their same house for 15, 20 years.
I completely understand, and I understand what Charles, brought to the point too. But there are dumpsters available through the same services they get that are for recycling. That is an option that they can use. And so if we could at least add that into our code, if the tenants that are in there now just get lost in the translation, I understand grandfathering. But for future reference, if any new buildings come in, at least.
Yeah, it's not that they can't get it, though.
Well, it kind of is.
It's that the owner has to call our provider to have them to bring.
It doesn't have to be our provider, though.
No.
So they could get. I mean, if we could just put it in code that they're required to offer recycling.
Don't we have
options.
recycling at the city garage?
But they have.
We only have.
They'd have to walk.
What it's gonna do is increase their rent.
Well, and the rent's going up anyway.
Well,
We know how rental properties work. You only have to rent them out for so long before it's all profit. So I don't feel real bad about that.
You do? How long?
According to the calculations I have for the houses bought on my block, 4 years.
4 years?
4 years, because they're getting them for dirt cheap.
I got rental property, but none of them pays off in 4 years.
Well, I don't know.
Thank you, Laura.
Just for a point of clarification, because I've gotten conflicting, if for your first recycling can for a resident, so not the commercial properties and stuff, is it free or is it $80?
It's free.
It's free.
The first one is free.
I had to pay for mine.
I did too, way back.
This
Current
started our new contract last July.
It's just, it's so confusing because when people are moving in and out and they've paid for one, they feel like they can take it or they should gift it to a neighbor. And then the next tenant that moves in doesn't have it. And they have to buy another one.
See, it takes 27 years to write off a house with the government. That's how long it takes. 27 years.
Well, I just wanted to know how much our cans were.
Yeah.
Huh?
I didn't want 27 years. I just wanted to know how much a recycling can was.
Wasn't it 55? Recycling. For
if
residents, if a residence wants another recycling.
It's 60 now. It's 60 now.
Yeah. But the first one to that address of a residential property is supposed to be free.
That is
And those
correct.
cans should stay with the property.
Yeah.
And it's to the
That's
address,
correct.
not the person.
But if you buy the
And
can, then it's yours.
Laura, you had your time. 3 minutes. That's what the rules say on your agenda if you have it in your
But I
hand.
didn't get 3 minutes because we were rebutting. We were
Well, just
talking-
going back. That's enough. Okay. Mayor, council reports.
I just wanted to say one thing. I want to compliment the street department. They've been out doing a lot of coal patching, and it's made a difference as long as they continue, and I really appreciate that effort on the street department.
I would also like to say, as after the discussions we've had with the police department, that I've noticed them out a lot more. I've seen them sitting a lot more and making a lot more runs around town. So doing a good job as well. So
Yeah, very true.
Thank you, guys. I'll entertain a motion to close, to adjourn.
Excuse me.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I got this from a citizen. I didn't know, not a citizen of Evansdale, a citizen of Alphabet Heights. I tried to explain to her that there's different deals. You don't turn lights on, and you don't have sirens go on, or something like that, depending on what they're after.
I'll bring this to the chief's attention.
And I don't know whether it's, depends on what the person was doing, or is this out joyriding and doing that, that's a different thing. But if he's on call, maybe he could use a siren, could use lights. There's different.
Sure.
maybe trying to catch somebody.
How much is it? Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't see you back there.
What? I know the boat ramp to Mouth Creek's a good idea, but it ain't gonna get done for cost reasons. Literally, if we could get some gravel down there, just so the knothead kids don't go down there and burn their tires off and dig it all, rut it all up. I've been maintaining that for the last 3 or 4 years. I go down there and pick up garbage, I weed whack, and cut trees back, so if you do got your vehicle parked down there, when the cops drive by or just anybody, they can actually see if your window's knocked out or they're rummaging through your truck. Most people go down there, there's a long incline right here. There's one tree that used to drive around between it and the river, and then Chris Shares actually went down there with an end loader or whatever and pushed some stuff back, pulled out some fence posts from way back, and made it so we could back our boats in there. If we could get some gravel in there, just to maybe stop the knotheads from messing it all up all the damn time.
Right.
And, nothing fancy, just gravel it off, like big stuff that ain't gonna wash into the creek for the next flood, like 3-inch roadstone, cover it with something a little bit smaller, and maybe patrol down there occasionally and try to catch people doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So we're talking the same place down in the end of
On River Road.
River Road.
Yeah, at the mouth of the creek.
Yep, mouth of the creek. I actually cleaned that all up so we could pull our boats down there and back our trucks in and stuff.
I don't have no problem maybe putting some gravel or some crushed rock in there for somebody to drive on, but to spend $200,000 or $300,000 on something is ridiculous.
I know, it's
Well,
not.
no, and that way when the flood comes,
Yeah,
you're out gravel.
So say you gotta go down the river and pick it up.
Where concrete gets undercut and destroyed.
As far as making a little parking space down there, I don't, that can't cost.
Well, normally what we do is we use that area to pull our boats in and out, and then we usually park our trucks up on the road in case anybody else wants to come down there. Because there's half a dozen people that go down there. And yes, you can run a conventional boat motor down to the bend. You can also get to the gazebo in between Gilbertville and Evansdale. You just need to know what you're doing. But
I'd like to have them look into that, see what it costs for some rock.
Yeah, I was gonna address that. I'll have Chris look into some rock for that and
thank you.
Bring it to the next agenda.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when the river's low, we don't even put in at Deerwood because we can't make it any further than the interstate bridge. Or you're aware of the big rock in the Cedar River.
No.
Yeah, that gets about 12 to 14 inches deep. My motor, I can go through it because I got a mud motor. But people with conventional boat motors, not so much. But if you can get in at the mouth of the creek, you hang on to the Evansdale side till you get to the old boat ramp that sits out in the middle of Cedar about 40 yards. Then cut Kitty Wampus toward the McDonald's sign, and there's a McDonald's sign. There's a bunch of Blackhawk County sheriffs that camp all summer long over there.
Yeah, dead fire in your boat so you know where to go.
You're out there with your oar.
I was going to say.
I pick my boat up on plane, it uses about 6 inches of water. So, but anyway.
We can look into something like that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, I want to talk to you, man. I wanted to see what was going to go on for the River Road Trail. I kayak, ride bike all the time. Name is Bruce Givens, live on Eldine Court, and I guess I'm in Ward 3, I believe. And they do make a product. I've seen a snowmobile too. Some of the snowmobile clubs they bought used. I don't know if they're something to do with flooring for hog confinement, big cement panels. I don't know if they're 6 by 10 or 12 long, they weigh about 1,500 pounds, they have slots in them, but they use them, you could set them right, in the water, heavy enough, they're not gonna wash away, and maybe something like that could be used to have access, like you said, to get in the river, and it won't wash away. If somebody could find out about that, it probably wouldn't cost a fortune. Maybe.
I think our engineer actually brought something like that up today, and he was going to show me some examples. This was later in the day today.
And here's the issue when people brought this up too. How far can we go without the DNR getting involved?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that's
because
that's
the whole floodway study.
And not going into the water.
Yeah.
And gravel, you're pretty safe.
because
flood stage of the Cedar, when you can walk across it and it's at the shore, or when we had a little bit of rain.
Cedar pretty much even when it's
All of
flooded.
that.
You can't do nothing to change the flow of the
water.
Yeah, the pads you brought up are actually you can buy them used at most rental places, and they do work well.
Okay, I mean, something like that wouldn't cost a fortune, and use about.
Yeah, I've done a lot with those.
Okay.
Miles and miles of roads. So.
The thing is, you can't put them in the water. Change the flow.
It's like a screen, so it doesn't affect the flow of the water. It's got 2-inch holes in it.
Mayor, I guess I'd have a question with boaters and fishermen here. If we're talking about fixes down there, and if that's compatible, then why go to all the headache? We know we're talking about costs. If the Deerwood thing is not feasible, they don't think that. I'm hearing tonight a little different than what I've heard in past times, that they think that can work. I just wouldn't want to get into a bunch of engineering fees at Deerwood, fit $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to engineer something down at Deerwood when it's pretty well set up. So I think maybe we need to think about what they really want, what we're gonna really do.
Deerwood, it's already there.
Right.
So it's just a matter of keeping it to where stupid kids don't go down there and destroy stuff.
Yeah,
and I think we can do a lot of it, our own labor with the city crew, and save a lot of costs, and you don't have to spend $290,000 at the mouth of the creek when we have Deerwood right there. It's just we have to make it to where you can. It's a public boat ramp, so it should be open to the public year round. But the people go in there, destroy stuff. So if you can make it to where they can just follow that trail, the sewer plant still has loops left on their camera system, a couple lights. Now you can monitor who comes and goes. I mean, it's not foolproof, but you at least got eyes on the entrance.
The park board did bring that up in discussion last night.
Yep.
See, I got keys I went in front of the park board and told them what I wanted to do, and I told them I'd let people in as they wanted to. And I had a big sign up, if you want in here, call this number and I'll come down. Well, the problem was people were showing up there at 5 in the morning calling me.
Or they walk because Roger'd go in there to work on something, leave the gate open.
Or they call me up, I go down and let them in, and here's 2 kids wanting to go use the swings.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I ripped the sign down, and the people who fish around here, they call me when they want in. I don't have a problem opening up the gate, but like I said, when the river's low, the mouth of the creek's your only option. Because right now, furthest you can go manhole cover upstream, which is behind the trailer park, and then downstream to the interstate bridge. And you better be on the Waterloo side. Otherwise, you're gonna have a good day.
Yeah, that's true. A kayak launch would be nice too, and that would be a lot cheaper than a boat ramp.
Kayak don't pay taxes, no license or registration on their boats.
I did once to register
On
it the
a
first
kayak?
time. After that, I don't have to.
But kayak launches do make things a lot more user-friendly.
We've been talking to the DNR. They're gonna hang out at my buddy's place who has property up above the big rock, watching, and then they're gonna have a guy at the mouth of the creek for the John boat to get all the tubers throwing beer cans and stuff in the water. They're gonna have a good harvest this year.
Wow.
So fill me up and just let me go.
Any other public discussion?
I
had one question for you, Mayor. I'm driving around. Are they doing some work on the dike on the Ball Diamond side? I see there's some plywood laying up against. Is it in the fence or is it on the dike?
Concrete rug or something.
Oh, somebody might want to go take a look and see who put that there. It doesn't belong.
I
there.
saw it tonight.
Yeah, I looked at it tonight. It's actually like a straw base, so it don't wash out, it looks like.
Oh, that's what it is? Okay. Well, maybe we need to get some dialogue and see what this adjusted thing would be. And I mean, it's probably going to be still ungodly high, but that way we could solve what they're asking, and then we know both scenarios, what he tells you about Deerwood. So we have the whole thing in front of us to say, no, we can't. This is a better option.
Yeah.
We'll only do this. I'd like to see that, so we have a finality to it.
Sounds good.
If there's no other discussion, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Thank you, guys.